Usually I don't like making videos on just one weapon, but the Coda Bassocyst is special. This shotgun has so many synergies, it does a ridiculous amount of damage with multiplicative condition overload scaling, and I can guarantee you that there are some hidden mechanics with this weapon that you didn't know of. And I don't mean this lightly, but I think that this is one of the best weapons in the game. Let's get started. Why is the Coda Bassocyst so good? Well, it's synergistic, it has many features within the weapon itself, it has the craziest alternate fire on a weapon that I've seen in a long time, it is very handy for priming as well as just infinite body punch through, it has innate blast, impact, magnetic, and radiation. It's a lich weapon that allows you to change out the elements to what you want for whatever build. And guess what? It's multiplicative CO on direct hit. But let's now talk about the unique trait. There is a lot to talk about with the unique trait with the Coda Bassocyst. It is an incredibly powerful alternate fire, and it's just loaded with mechanics and synergies. The alternate fire launches out 6 mites that latch onto enemies, highlighting their heads for 5 seconds. The mites deal impact and magnetic damage, as well as the status effects that you have modded for on your weapon. The alternate fire will consume 4 ammo per shot. Multi-shot unfortunately does not affect the amount of enemies it hits, it only hits 6 enemies at a time. The Coda Bassocyst has a unique crosshair. If the target is open to a mercy kill, you can actually teleport to them and automatically perform a mercy finisher kill. You will see this by the unique crosshair shaping into teeth, or the teeth just get longer essentially. It's kind of hard to see, but the more you play it, the more you'll begin to notice it, and the better you get at, realizing that it's about to proc. When you mercy kill the enemy, you will gain a buff that increases your damage and multi-shot by 100% for 20 seconds. This bonus stacks additively with mods, and the buff duration is also refreshed on mercy kills. Also, this buff can be applied whether you do a mercy kill via the alternate fire or simply just a normal mercy kill, even if the Bassocyst is not equipped. Okay, so we have covered the surface level stuff with the alt fire. Now let's dig deeper and talk about the special mechanics with this alt fire. We're going to talk about the mites first and then talk about the teleport mechanic later. Now, the most obvious one is the alt fire launches out mites, as we know, that latches onto enemies. You can easily spray your screen with these mites latching onto other unaffected enemies if you wanted to, by constantly just spamming the alt fire. When the mites are attached, they will deal damage per second. But for each damage tick, they will apply status effects that are modded on your weapon, even the ones that did not apply on the initial hit. So let's say only 2 of the 5 status effects you have modded for are applied on the initial hit. As the mites begin to deal damage, they start applying status effects, it will begin to add those other missing status effects. So essentially, the status effects will tick up, which in itself is absolutely insane. It is very powerful that does that in the first place. But here is the crazy part. You can apply more than 1 mite onto an enemy and it will tick up faster per mite attached. I don't know if there is a cap, I think there is, but still you can apply more than 1 and apply it a lot faster. The more you spam your alt fire, the more the status effects will tick up quicker and will essentially go to max stacks. And if you have something like damage over time status effects, it will just begin to constantly tick up. The Coda Bassocyst serves as an amazing primer and also a very good way to whittle enemies away with attrition. It's not instant nuking with the alternate fire, but it is a way to kind of just shoot a little bit and forget. Each mite will last 10 seconds in total, so they effectively have 10 ticks of damage, with their own separate duration. Now again, you start adding any damage over time status effects like heat, toxin, electricity, gas, as well as viral or corrosive, and you start to see how powerful this weapon can be just from the alt fire alone. And remember, we have a mercy kill buff with the alt fire too. We haven't even spoken about the normal fire of this weapon, which is incredibly powerful. But there is more here. This weapon has innate blast. These blast procs actually tick up, especially if you've applied more than 1 mite, because then it will essentially beat the blast timer that the normal blast procs would have. As the enemies die, they will essentially explode from the blast procs that are on and will cause a explosion chain for all the easier targets, allowing you to have a small built-in chain nuke mechanic for the easier targets in the game. The tougher targets are no problem because you can essentially just blast them in the face with the primary fire if they manage to survive. And even then, the primary fire scales a blast insanely well. A cool thing about the alt fire is it doesn't interrupt Ivara's prowl, which makes it a good weapon for Ivara for priming enemies when you're on the dash wire. But there are some other bugs like the alt fire damage not benefiting from quite a few abilities, as well as mods and arcanes. Here is a screenshot for you. I'm not going to go over every one. You can kind of just pause and see. And while this is not necessarily a bug, but it's important to know, the mites don't target the heads and they don't necessarily damage the body part either that they're attached to, so they don't benefit from body part multipliers like headshot multipliers and so on. You can kind of see this demonstration when using Zarta's Whisper. The bubble will always be at the bottom of the enemy's body, essentially, so it's a great way to see. That was the mites out of the way. Now let's move on to the teleportation side. As we know, Altfire applies impact procs that increase the threshold for mercy kills or finisher attacks. Now, I must admit, the Coda Bassocyst is not very consistent with this, or it's just pretty confusing. I can't even wrap my head around it. Technically, for Parazon mercy kills, impact should put the threshold to around 80% health for tougher targets in general, but I found the Coda Bassocyst for tougher targets like your Eximus units and so on is about 50 to 70%. I know that seems weird, but like I said, I just found that this part of this weapon, essentially the mercy kills, is very inconsistent. It sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't work for all the targets. It's very weird. I generally like to reserve it for Eximus units because then it's a little bit more consistent because they're a bit tougher. Now you can see when you are ready to teleport when the teeth gets bigger on the reticle or the crosshair. When you teleport, you gain 100% damage and multi-shot, which is great. We love that buff. However, there are a few buts with this whole mercy killing and teleporting thing. The first one being when enemies are lying on the floor from being knocked over, you will teleport to them, but you won't mercy kill. You will pretty much have to wait for them to get up before you can actually mercy kill them. This does become a problem with certain synergies and tile sets. Also, some Warframe abilities when you're in a different state doesn't allow you to actually mercy kill with the Altfire or teleport. Sometimes the Altfire of the Coda Bassocyst is just simply too strong that you don't get a chance to mercy kill the enemies before they die. Which is why, like I mentioned earlier, I reserve this for tougher targets. I personally don't focus too much on the Altfire teleporting side of it, but it is a bonus if you land up doing it. You don't actually need it. It's just a bonus. Think of it that way. However, there is something even more special about the mercy kill mechanic. It counts as a normal mercy kill, meaning Parazon mods will proc when you use the teleport function. Hit and run, blood for ammo, malicious code, swift mercy, blood for energy, all of those mods will work when you teleport and perform a mercy kill. I personally use hit and run for parkour velocity, blood for ammo for refilling the magazines when doing so, and finally the best one being swift mercy, which increases the speed of the mercy kills by 50%. This is a great utility and quality of life addition to this weapon. On top of all of this, another quality of life feature from the mites in general is the mites will ignore barriers created by nullifiers and Arctic Eximus units. This allows you to damage the enemies through the bubble and will also allow you to teleport through them and perform a mercy kill if you wanted to do so. When it comes to nullifiers, every damage tick makes the bubble smaller, and you do not get nullified when teleporting to mercy kill them, only if it's under that specific nullifier's bubble. If another nullifier comes in and is in the way while you're performing the mercy kill, you will get nullified from that nullifier's bubble. Again, it's just one more amazing thing this weapon can do. Alright, that was just the Altfire. You get why I had to make a full video. That was a lot just for the Altfire. If I could ask, you could hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thank you so much. Now let's go over the overall stats. The main fire and the Altfire have the same stats essentially. The Coda Bassocyst boasts 40% status chance, 18% crit chance, and 2.2 times crit multiplier. However, it is low multi-shot, so it's a status shotgun pretty much, and it doesn't follow the usual status per pellet that most other shotguns have. You shoot a single beam or actually a wave of sound. And again, I'm going to mention again, multiplicative CO scaling on both the base fire and the mites. So you definitely want to use Galvanized Savvy when running this weapon. We get 24 base magazine capacity, which then is increased with Elementalist, which we put on our builds. This puts us up to 38 magazine capacity, which helps for the Altfire spamming. But what I would suggest is substituting another mod on your build so that you can add ammo stock to get even more magazine capacity, which helps for Altfire spamming. You get about 65 magazine capacity with the primed version. Elements. Firstly, it's a lich weapon, meaning it comes with a progenitor bonus. For those of you who do not know how to farm Coda weapons, you can get them from Eleanor in the Hex for live heart cells, which comes from killing a technocyte Coda, basically lich system. We now have Elemental Vice that can be applied after reaching level 40 with this weapon, which is 5 Former, and that allows you to switch and choose any element you want. For the Coda Bassocyst, this is a very good thing because it allows you to have even more synergies and also helps with the inner elements as well. The Bassocyst comes with Blast, Radiation, Impact, and Magnetic. You have Explosions, Crowd Control, Mercy Killing, and an Overguard or Shield Shredder. We can then proceed to mod for 2 or more status effects from our own mods if we wanted to bring this up to 6 status effects, excluding the electricity proc that we get from Magnetic, which then brings us to 7. Now when it comes to the element for the progenitor, you can decide what element you want based on the builds I'm about to show. Okay, now how do we build the Coda Bassocyst? In general, a no-brainer mod to add is Multi-Shot. Galvanized Savvy if you have it, Shotgun Elementalist, and that is in all of the builds of this video. First, let's start with the budget setup for those who are early on in the game or simply just don't want to invest so much. But remember, you need to be MR17 to use the Coda weapons. This is the budget build right here. Very simple, base damage scaling, multi-shot, crit, fire rate, Elementalist, Bane. Easy no-brainer. Build that would probably do pretty well in very early Steel Path levels and Star Chart. Moving on to the Steel Path builds, we have a Corrosive Heat Blast setup. Galvanized Acceleration is quite handy. The blast procs from this setup literally does millions of damage from the primary fire. You can see for yourself. I opt for Deadhead because the hitbox for headshots with this weapon is really easy and is big. So proccing Deadhead is very easy and you just simply gain from the headshot multiplier. Trust me, give Deadhead a go. It's very powerful. I have a viral build that has viral heat and blast. Same build, same thing. Same thing with a corpus setup. You can switch out the innate element for this and go magnetic or toxin if you wanted to. And finally, a gas build for the memes. It's not the best, but it still works pretty well and it's just fun. As you can see, I don't really need to explain the builds too much as they're pretty much the same. Some tips when running the Coda Bassocyst: if you don't want to mercy kill an enemy by mistake as you are spamming the alt fire, make sure to alt fire above the enemy's heads so it doesn't accidentally activate and then just cause you to snap across like 30 meters. Like I mentioned earlier, if you run something like a shotgun fire rate arcane on your Warframe, add ammo stock so that you'll have better time with the alt fire since it uses 4 ammo per shot. These are damage builds that I've shown. You can also do a primer build in which all you simply do is just add as many status effects as you can and put status duration on and you're good to go. The mites will do all the work. Finally, let's talk about synergies with frames and so on. Firstly, Mag Bubble is amazing because the main fire has infinite body punch through. It is perfect for Mag. Lavos with Valence Formation is very powerful since it guarantees a certain element and increases the damage for it. It's very powerful for the alt fire and the main fire. Araxia with her 4th ability is amazing. The only problem with Araxia is you can't mercy kill while in the 4th form. The funniest thing ever is Gauss Energized Munitions. You have to give it a go. It is so funny. You can spam the hell out of the alt fire. It's crazy. Mirage with her clones for your main fire as well as the Eclipse boost is huge for the alt fire. Gun buff Siren is of course very good. And to end off, we're going to talk about the main frame synergy with this weapon, which I really do enjoy. And that is Gyro with the gun buffing setup. I've just done a Gyro video, so if you want to go and check out that part of the video where I explain how it all works, then it'll make a bit more sense. But to summarize it, subsume shock onto our 2 so that we can use Shock Trooper, use the conductive sphere augment, double up on the electricity damage, use purple Archon shards for more primary electricity damage, throw down a couple of balls from your first ability, cast Shock Trooper, and simply just alt fire like crazy. And make sure that to switch out the progenitor for electricity. It is so powerful, you melt through everything. It is disgusting, especially when you start stacking up those stacks. It is crazy. A cheeky little honorable mention is Clover with Rifle Advance. Although, I'll be honest, just use your main fire, you'll instantly kill them. And another little hint, if you don't like the flicking back animation or the recoil from this gun, you can equip a skin for no recoil animations, essentially. It's kind of funny, but I do think that this is a bug and it's probably going to get patched, realistically. Okay, final thoughts. You can understand now why I say it is loaded with synergies. It surprised me how good it is. I mean, I'm sure you've noticed that in so many videos recently I've been using it, and after I decided to do this video, I was shocked because there was so much more to it. I encourage you to go give it a go with different Warframes and synergies. You will not regret it. As always, a huge thank you to our channel members. You guys are amazing. Thank you for your support. Okay, bye. Enjoy one of the best weapons in the game.